What's up, superhumans? My name is Brandon Talbot. If you're new to this channel, first of all, welcome. I like to create content that's going to help you move, feel, and perform better, both mentally and physically. So if you're into that sort of thing, if that's your jam, hit that subscribe button. Before we get into, why is that so hard to say? Before we get into today's video, I just want to say thank you. Just a few weeks ago, and I do mean we hit 1,000 subscribers on this channel, which I know isn't a lot, but that was actually a pretty big goal of mine at the start of the new year. And to say thank you, I'm working on the biggest giveaway I've ever done. It's going to take a little time, but stay tuned for that. Now today we are talking physical performance, whether that's athletic performance because you're an athlete and you're trying to play at a higher level, or maybe you're a parent just trying to keep up with their kid and you want to feel great into your 50s, 60s, and 70s. No matter the situation, at the core of every good performance is proper mobility. And maybe you've been thinking to yourself lately, I need to do better on my mobility. And that's great, that's awesome, but let me ask you this, what is mobility? But before we get into that, I want to give you a little personal history. I got my first job as a personal trainer 18 years ago. And in the last 18 years, I have worked with every kind of client you can possibly imagine. Professional athlete from every sport you can think of, and some you probably even have never heard of. I've worked with the fitness enthusiast, bodybuilders, right down to the beginners and the sedentary. And the one thing that can derail all of them is injury. What I find interesting, what I want to talk to you today about, is the misconception or the confusion these athletes had as to why they got injured, and more importantly, why they continued to stay in an injury cycle. Okay, back to the question, what is mobility? Well, here's the best definition I can think of. Mobility is the controlled, voluntary movement of a limb through its entire range of motion. Voluntary being the key word, maybe you could even replace it with active. As we age and we go through our lives, like how we sit, how we stand, regular things like that, we can build up compensations. Think of compensations as the wrong muscles doing the job. And these imbalances of underactive muscles and overactive muscles create faulty movement patterns, and these faulty movement patterns generally, over time, lead to injury. Now, back to my injured and confused athletes. The most typical response I would get, or explanation as to why they shouldn't have been injured, was, "Coach, I stretch all the time." And they are, of course, referring to flexibility. And flexibility is the passive range of motion a muscle can achieve. So this is different than mobility. So the mistake they made, and I continue to see today with the clients that I work with, is that they think the only injuries, non-impact injuries, that occur because of tight muscles. And the truth is, being weak and having unaddressed movement patterns and imbalances lead to far more injuries. Let me show you an example. All right, trusty whiteboard. I think, can you see all of these at once? Oh, a lot of glare there. Static malalignments, these are like postural malalignments. So let's say the way you sit in your car while you drive. Now, this creates, whether you know it or not, muscle imbalance. Like the way I sit, if I were to sit like this and kind of hunch over and use my armrest, some muscles are going to be doing more work than they probably should, and some are going to relax more than they should. This creates those compensations that we talked about earlier. Again, muscles doing more work than they should for a job, and the muscles that should be doing that work are kind of taking it easy, taking it off. This leads to injury. Remember, compensation leads to faulty movement patterns, which lead to injury, or faulty arthrokinematics, which is just a fancier way of saying that. Injuries then create more malalignments, more muscle imbalances, compensation, back to injury. All right, so this is like the injury cycle. All right, so to put this into context, let's go back to the example of sitting in your car while you're driving. Obviously, you've done this for years, and your glute med has started to not do as much as it should. Now, one of the jobs the glute med has is to provide stability to the lumbopelvic hip complex. Now, because it needs that stability, maybe it starts recruiting the TFL or the tensor fasciae latae a little bit more, and it becomes a little overly active. This is the muscle imbalance that we're talking about. Now, an overly tight TFL can lead to iliotibial band tightness or IT band tightness, and then that can lead to patellofemoral pain, knee pain, and lower back pain. Hopefully this is making sense now. So it's this misunderstanding of what mobility actually is and kind of this incomplete approach to injury prevention, just exclusively stretching or foam rolling, that continues to lead to injury. However, self-assessing faulty movement patterns is actually pretty difficult. It's one of the reasons why I decided to get my corrective exercise specialization when I applied for my NASA Master Trainer. I was, having a lot of success with athletes and clients, but they continued to get injured, and I wanted to do my best to prevent all of that. So if you're really serious about improving your mobility, I would highly recommend seeking out a professional, either a trainer like myself that has the background in that, or a physical therapist. If you're looking for a quick little tune-up, go to my Instagram page at super_human_performance. Go into the highlights. There I have resources for faulty movement patterns that happen in the ankles, knees, hips, back, shoulders. And if you want like a complete mobility program with a movement assessment done by me, check out Mobile 90. It's also in the highlights. Thanks again for watching. I know it was a short video, but I hope you enjoyed it, and hopefully it made more sense of what mobility is. And it's really important to me because I continue to see people misunderstand what mobility is, therefore take an incomplete approach to injury prevention, and then continue to get injured, and they're really frustrated, and obviously that's no fun. So that's why we made this video. If you did, please hit the like button. It goes a long way with the YouTube algorithm. What does that mean? It just helps other people like yourself find this video. Plus, when you hit that like button, I know what kind of content you want to see more of. And if you loved the video, hit that subscribe button. It goes a long way to help the channel grow, obviously, but with more channel growth comes better and better content for you. Finally, if you want to be notified as to when I release the latest video, the newest video, just hit that notification bell down below. All right, thanks again for watching. I will catch you on the next one. Peace.